And let's go ahead and jump back in. Oh, but I do, Bug. I do. I feel obligated. Maybe I should put like a cooldown period on hydrates. I have that ability, but kidneys destroyed. Actually, kidneys flushed, I would say. Kidneys reinvigorated. All right. Volume 15 now of creatives, conventional or otherwise. You walk with a purpose. You don't really have a purpose aside from friendship, of course, but you know these streets pretty well by this point, so you can at least strut like you've got one. All right. Okay, so we got Charun and we've got Wanshi. So let's go with Charun. Charun's gonna be our last friend of the day today. Actually, you know what? You think you've had it up to here with friendship. You're sure you'll be back on your regular friend making bullshit later, but today is just one of those days. Curl up under the blankets with your favorite show sort of day. Leave your phone on silent and say nothing to no one sort of day. Those are great days to have. Someone has a limit on hydrates per stream. Yeah, I might need to think about doing that, actually, Bug. But I do actually like when people use hydrates because it helps me remember to drink water during stream, even though I think I do a pretty good job of doing that anyway, but it's nice to have people help me with that too. And honestly, you've watched a friend almost die of poisoning and gazed upon the Juggalo afterlife. You think you've more than earned a day, or night rather, of respite like this. So, just for today, you turn your back on this new swath of Alternian City you were considering walking through, and head back to ye old hideout. No explorations now, only bed. You drag yourself up the scaffolding to your hidey hole. More than anything, more than binging on media or relaxing amidst peace and quiet, you want to take a nice, long nap. So you spill yourself into the little pile of bedding, pillows, and various pieces of clothing, and you've managed to somehow throw it together and settle in. As soon as your body touches it, you're out like a light. Steiner's like around the corner of my desk, so I can't quite get all of them in there, but trying to get that for you. He is just like looking out at the world and just enjoying his afternoon, I think. But it isn't very long until you're awake again, and not because your body is rousing itself after sufficient slumber, but because of a persistent scrabbling sound. A persistent scrabbling sound that's followed by a loud thunk. Butt scritches, yes. Good idea, Copper. Let's get some butt scritches in there. Steiner butt scritches, yeah. Oh, you realize something but disregard, Copper? Okay, that's fair. Copper redeemed butt scritches. For the cat, of course. For the cat. Typically, that wouldn't be enough to get you up. You're a pretty heavy sleeper, but the noise is accompanied by the nagging sensation that whatever is making the noise is in the room with you, and that has you bolting upright. Oh, Copper's redeemed. Give Tara a treat and boop the snoot. Well, I'll tell you what, Copper. Let's hang on till the end of this, and then at the end of stream, we will bring Tara in here and give her a treat if you're able to stick around for a bit. You must have woken up in the middle of your REM cycle because you feel like a mummy rising out of the crypt. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Your brain struggles to make sense of your surroundings through the fog of residual sleepiness that's still settled over you as you stumble to your feet. Eventually, you're able to discern that the noise is coming from behind and above you, around where the ceiling is. What the hell, is there a raccoon crawling in the vents? Does Alternia even have raccoons? If it does, you're pretty sure you wouldn't want to meet one, but you can't exactly leave it in your living space either. You get up to investigate. The noise isn't coming from the ceiling like you thought, but from a platform that's been shoved unceremoniously to the very back of the watchtower. There's a large object in front of it that wasn't there before. A giant curved lens that could only have come from the hole that is now in the side of the platform structure. Maybe this was an old telescope or a camera that the Condes once used for surveillance? The scrabbling continues. It's coming from within the structure. You're not eager for whatever it is in there to come jumping out at you as soon as you stick your head inside, but you steel your nerves and hoist yourself up. You find yourself face to face with not some animal or bug, but a troll. Oh, I like the plucks happening here. In fact, are these possibly cello plucks? Charun's Cave by Toby Fox? Yes! Love me some Toby Fox. This is a bona fide friend opportunity. It's practically fallen in your lap, but you find yourself unexpectedly ornery about it. You would think that you could expect some privacy in your own home. Or, well, the place you've adopted as home in Alternia anyway, but apparently not. Even when you've decided that you aren't in a friending mood, there the universe goes, yeeting new friends into your path anyways. Can't you go a day on this planet without dancing the whole friendship jig? It quickly becomes obvious that this mysterious stranger isn't going to offer you anything more than enigmatic gazing into the middle distance. Oh, what exactly are they doing in your hideout, you ask? Even if they were thinking about moving in, they could have at least asked you first. You're the current occupant, after all. I don't want to move in. I already have a hive. Came up here for that. They point past you. You can only assume they're referring to the giant lens you'd seen on the floor. Well, if they'd gotten what they'd come for, why are they still hanging out in the platform's innards like this? I'm stuck. And they didn't try calling for help? I didn't notice you, wherever you came from. I didn't think anyone else was here. Would they perhaps like some help? Maybe. As you hop down from the platform, you find your ire draining from you, much like flesh juice from a pimple. Gross. It's difficult to stay angry upon witnessing what's possibly the most pathetic burglary attempt ever, and that's counting your little fiasco with your ship. After walking around to the other side of the platform, you can see the troll's booted legs sticking out from a gap in the structure. It looks much too narrow for anyone to crawl through, and yet that's exactly what they must have done in order to push the lens out from behind. You yell that you're going to try and pull them out. You hear a faint, muttered, "Okay," and reach up to grab them around the waist, pulling hard. Takes a couple of tries, but with one last particularly hard tug, you're finally able to pull them free. They tumble down on top of you. Thanks for getting me unstuck and breaking my fall. You didn't really do that part on purpose, but you're glad they appreciated it, you guess. They seem pretty content to continue lying on top of you, actually, but they're heavy, so you wriggle out from underneath them like an earwig from under a rock and clamber to your feet. You nod at the lens. That's what they want, huh? The troll sits up, crossing their legs. You can see them more clearly now that they aren't sequestered inside the platform, although their face is obscured a little by their shaggy hair and floppy, wide-brimmed hat. They look about as sleepy as you felt earlier. As sleepy as you're in danger of feeling again, in fact. Their voice is slow and regular, like a metronome dunked in molasses, and it almost threatens to send you right back to bed. Yeah, so... Can I have it? You swear you can feel your friend-making juices start circulating through your body again with a vengeance after their little sabbatical. You're not really sure what came over you before. Turned down the chance to make a new friend? You? Wow, who kidnapped you and replaced you with a total stranger for a few hours there? You tell the troll of course they can have the lens. It's not like you're doing anything with it. Or like it's even yours to begin with. It was just abandoned here along with the rest of this broken down tech. Curiously, you ask what they want it for. Are they building something? Perhaps they're an engineer of some sort. No. Climbing all the way up here just for some building material would be pretty dumb. I want to use it for art. Huh. You look again at the lens skeptically. It's a cool lens, you suppose, but it mostly looks like exactly what it is, a hunk of junk. They want to make art out of this? Their work must be pretty, interesting or weird. Let's go with interesting. They squint at you like they've taken some sort of issue with your comment. Have you managed to offend them? You thought you were being polite enough given the circumstances. Interesting is usually what people say when they have nothing better to say. You have a problem with making art out of trash? You shake your head rapidly, but the troll is already crossing their arms and shooting you a disapproving look. I don't think I want to talk to you anymore. Oh no, does that mean they're going to leave? And after you decided to try and add them to your ever-growing friend harem too? No, I'm tired. Oh, okay then. They're just gonna kind of glower at you from the floor for a while until they get their strength back enough to leave, you assume. This definitely isn't awkward at all. Oh wow. This seems painfully awkward. My goodness. Friendship faux pas. Alright, well. Let's go back and call their art weird instead of interesting. Their work must be pretty, weird. Haha. Yeah. The two of you alternate between looking at the lens and each other for a while. Yeah, I don't like people calling my art interesting either. That's interesting, Copper. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. But yeah, interesting does kind of seem like a generic comment, I suppose. Unless they like immediately follow up with like why they think it's interesting. I imagine maybe it's made better if there's something specific. But I don't know either, so I mean, weird, I love it. Compelling is a better term if you find truly interesting and aren't just using the term to cover up your lack of opinion. Ah, nice, I see. Maybe they want to install the lens above an entrance to some hive stem so it immediately burns anyone who tries to go out during the day. It would be pretty artsy for an alternative, yes. That makes sense. Alright. Usually over the course of making a new friend, they usually would have asked you to do something by now, or presented you with some sort of choice between two potential courses of action. Is there anything they'd like to do now that they've retrieved their art materials? Oh my gosh. We can do 2 dots or 4 dots. Let's go with 2 dots. Guess it's all on you, then. They probably want to take the lens back to their hive, right? I would, but I'm tired. And hungry. Foraging for garbage takes a lot of energy. And I use the last of it climbing up here. I don't think I'll be able to carry it by myself. They really didn't think this whole junk heist thing through very well, did they? But would you look at that? This is an excellent time to make a suggestion. Alright, let's save here. And actually, let's go back to that first decision point, or the previous decision point, and see if it makes a difference which one we picked. We picked the 2 dots last time. Let's pick the 4 dots this time. No difference. No difference at all. Alright. So let's go with, why not look for more easily portable trash? Sure, this giant lens is pretty neat, but there's probably plenty of other cool stuff they could use that wouldn't be such a pain to move. This dude needs better energy management. Yes. They would not do well in Celeste with the way they manage their stamina maintenance. I'd rather they know what they're having an opinion about instead of blind support. That makes sense. Pedro says, I would be pretty fine with people having positive opinions of my art even if they didn't see it. Sorry. This tired character just made me yawn. Like, legit. Your new friend considers this, scratching their cheek. There is one place that I go to a lot for material. You nod. Maybe the two of you could go there then. You could help. You'll even graciously hold on to the lens for them so they can come get it some other time. Okay. I would have to come back for it. Even if you hadn't said anything, though. They take you to a garbage dump. This is a very colorful garbage dump, though. Like, it's kind of pretty in a way. Oh my gosh, one of these... This is like one of Terezi's plushies right here. Looks like. Very, very similar, at least. Or a river, to be completely accurate, which has plenty of garbage washed up on its shore. Something about the strength and direction of the river's currents here seem to pull in the waste that's been dumped into it, concentrating the debris on this muddy patch of land. You're not sure what you expected, really. You had fleeting thoughts of a gleaming art supply store, but they did intimate that they work primarily with garbage. Here we are. You better not tell anyone about this place. It's a real treasure trove. They nail you with another intense stare. No, you say, of course not. Their trash haven is safe with you. Satisfied, they pull up the bandana sitting around their neck to cover their nose and mouth. Looks like they're ready to get to work. You're not sure what you should be looking for, though. More discarded computer equipment? Or are they in more of a toilet paper roll and yogurt cup kind of mood? Whatever catches your eye. If you see anything, just shout. Now that they mentioned it, you never got their name. I'm Charun. If you have chitter, you could follow me. They hold out their hand for your palm husk. You hand it to them, and they fiddle with it for a second before returning it to you and traipsing off. A little clicking around reveals that they're now in your chitter following list, but also that they've taken the liberty of downloading a new app. An app with a purple-pink camera icon, and okay, you recognize this one as well, except on Alternia, it's apparently called Pincer Spam. Pincer Spam? Oh, Instagram. Okay. I was like, which app does that refer to? Right. Instagram. Pincer Spam. Bro, follow me on Pincer Spam. Searching for their chitter handle leads you to their account on here, too. At least, you think it's their account. It's hard to tell from the profile picture, which is a blurry shot of one of their horns and the brim of their hat. Most of what you can see is sky. Maybe skimming their account will give you a better idea of their aesthetic. You scroll through photographs that are similarly enigmatic, an intense close-up of a sewer drain lid, the curve of a piece of ceramic, a purr-beast sniffing the camera. They've got quite the number of followers despite the fact that nobody seems to know who they are and that they never reply to comments. You've got a friend in common too. The user Sarava Streams for Sweeps has liked a slew of their recent posts. So Sarava knows Charun, it seems. None of this is very helpful. You also realize you're standing here stalking your new friend on your phone like a creep when you could just, go talk to them some more. So you hurry off after them. By the time you catch up, they're squinting at something. Oh, you're up to 15,000 happy caps, Cello? That's awesome. 5,000 away from... What's that over there? You follow their gaze. It's a hideout of some kind, a small cave tucked into the rock. The two of you approach it curiously. Charun stoops to peer at something on the ground near its entrance, but you decide to venture further in. You think you might hear voices, and their sources become apparent once you've taken a few steps inside. Azdaja. Oh, I forgot Azdaja's voice. What voice did I do for Azdaja? I don't remember. This is going to be different than what I've done before, but whatever. Who goes there? Reveal yourself. Oh, it's just you. Back for round 2? The likelihood of this battle's outcome being anything other than me kicking your ass is exactly 0. Typically, this would be a massive waste of my time. But luckily for you, I have nothing better to do. Azdaja surges forward, presumably to attack you, but any air of intimidation his little speech might have had is quickly diffused by Connell grabbing him firmly by the back of his coat and yanking him back. Azdaja, don't be rude. Azdaja shrugs Connell's hand away. The quiet sizzle of his psionics is like the hiss of a pissed-off cat. This, my dear Connell, is merely smack talk. As a prince among my caste, rudeness is simply not a part of my repertoire. Connell just snorts. Well then stop being a strife-hungry dick. My friend is delicate, okay? You protest that you aren't at all as delicate as the last time you'd run into each other. You've seen some shit. Azdaja's sparkly sigh nonsense doesn't scare you now. The two of them are too focused on each other to pay attention to you. You telling me not to fight for once is pretty rich. Don't you think I feel the same as you? It's been too long since I've had someone to punch. Whose bright idea was it in the first place to hole up here in a trash dump for days? I've told you over and over again that we are here because our quarry is somewhere close. We just have to figure out exactly where. It's a perfectly rational plan. You would see that if you just think for a second. Yikes! You thought that maybe you could have a nice 3-way friend reunion, but they're too busy squabbling. Meanwhile, where had Charun gotten off to? You slink away from the escalating sniping, looking around for them. You're not entirely surprised when you find them hunched over some object on the ground, poking at it. You know these two? You say in a stage whisper, pointing in Connell and Azdaja's direction. You could introduce them once there's not quite so much yelling going on. Charun pulls down their bandana to answer. No thanks. I found something more interesting over here. They gesture at the object. This is a great find. I've never seen anything like it. I could make something amazing out of this. You take a proper look at the object. It appears to be a miniature satellite dish with a few pipe cleaners sticking out of it. Unlike all this other stuff out here, though, this object is moving. The dish is rotating while a few lights glimmer softly at its base. You're pretty sure this isn't trash, and weren't Connell and Azdaja just discussing tracking someone? Whatever this is probably belongs to them. Yeah, that's why. You've got to distract them. Time for dinner, Bookworm. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and enjoy your dinner and enjoy your Saturday. Thank you so much for being here. So I could nab it. Okay, this is no longer scavenging. This is straight up thievery. You glance at Connell and Azdaja again. They're so preoccupied with arguing with each other that they haven't even looked your way, but once they realize the tracker is missing, they'll probably decide to go after Charun to get it back. If that happens, stall them, so I can get away in time. This doesn't sit right with you. Oh my gosh, doing Charun's voice is actually making me yawn. I'm giving Charun like a sleepy voice, because they seem pretty sleepy, but it's actually making me yawn. This doesn't sit right with you, and you don't want to screw over your two friends. You don't want to screw your other two friends over. And the energy between them is so weird right now. The verbal sparring looks about a hair's breadth away from turning into physical sparring, but they also kind of look like they want to make out. Whatever's going on, you don't want to be caught in the middle of it. That, however, sounds exactly like Charun wants you to do. I'll make it up to you. Someday. Before you can make a decision, Charun tucks the piece of tech under their arm. They take a running leap toward a fence that sections off this gross trash shore from the woods, vaulting over it in an impressive display of athletic prowess. You cringe. Charun is really leaving you in the lurch here. This is so not the kind of thing a good friend would do. But then, maybe you were never really friends in the first place. We have been abandoned by our potential friend who was never really our friend. Sad times. Left with our other two arguing friends. Alrighty. So that leaves us with... No, actually not this part. Let's go back to... this point. Alright, so instead of looking for more easily portable trash, we shall instead go with, you can help carry it. 4 arms are better than 2. You do that? Make sure you're careful with it. Of course, of course. You'll treat it with all the delicacy of an egg in an egg and spoon race. I don't know what that is. Carrying it to the watchtower's entrance is easy enough. Maneuvering down the cliff face is more complicated. You manage by holding it between you as you navigate from foothold to foothold. When you reach the bottom, the troll looks like they're ready to sit down again right there in the brush, but you urge them on. Resting in their hive will probably be much more comfortable. That's the wrong way. Sheepishly, you whirl back around from the random direction you're about to stride towards and follow them instead. With them leading the way and you bringing up the rear, the two of you shamble along the path with all the easy grace of 2 people in a horse costume, but you make it to your new companion's hive much quicker than you would have expected. They come to a stop in front of the entrance to a... I can read, I swear. They come to a stop in front of the entrance to a cave in another cliffside. If this is their place, it isn't very far from yours at all. You're surprised that you haven't run into them until now. They're practically a neighbor. I've seen you around before. You're pretty hard to miss. Really? They should have said hi and introduced themselves. 2 of you could have been hanging out all this time. I didn't feel like it. Besides, I was busy. With more of this scavenging and art business, you guess. Oh well. You're getting to know each other now, which is what's important. Speaking of, you have been talking and walking along, and you haven't even exchanged names yet. How remiss of you. Usually you would have gotten introductions out of the way from the moment they broke into your hideout, but it's been an odd sort of night. Up 2 people in a horse costume, Bug. That's okay. I'm Charun. Oh, come on, let's go inside. They pull you and the lens forward. They, didn't ask your name in return, but you managed to bumblingly introduce yourself as you lurch along into their hive. Okay, hold on a second. No, go back. Is this Cal right here? This looks like Cal. Possibly. Down here. And then there's like another troll that's like kind of hiding here. Don't know what the deal is with that. Oh my gosh, there's a toilet up here. This is a pretty cool troll statue up here. Alright, anyway. At home on Earth, you had a thing about garages. You thought it was interesting to scope the sort of stuff people ended up accumulating. You've seen some real gems in your day, a collection of singing and dancing novelty plant figurines, a small army of Furbies without any fur, the beat-up remains of some kind of cat mascot costume. The inside of Charun's hive is as if every single weird garage you've ever seen converged to exist simultaneously in the same cave, the Platonic ideal of garages. It's hard to believe that someone lives here. If you look closer, though, you begin to notice homey comforts tucked among the metal junkyard scraps and broken furniture piled over the floors and all the way up the craggy cave walls. A Raccoon sits on a ledge on one wall, and you think that's a kitchen cabinet wedged into another? This place looks like at least 3 dimensions have crashed with each other. I can see that. Oh, what do you think? It's pretty cozy, you say, giving them a double thumbs up. The stalactites are a nice touch. I meant about my art. Oh, the art, of course. You cast around desperately. Charun's hive is such a jumble of miscellany that it's impossible for you to figure out which of it is art materials, which are finished artworks, and which are Charun's actual belongings. That's a pretty gnarly skull over there with leaves in the eye sockets. The angle at which that umbrella sticks out of that lawn chair is really, compelling? Compelling, there you go, Copper. You said compelling earlier. And there we go. You settle on a purple object in one corner that looks more like a traditional sculpture than a bunch of household items stuck together. Those curves, that amaranthine hue, truly an inspiring piece. Charun looks at you strangely. That's just the load gaper. You don't know much about art, do you? Busted! No, you really don't. Ramel had taught you the importance of giving the people what they want, and Amnesia had taught you the importance of putting a tarp down before lopping off a head so paint doesn't get all over the floor. But you hadn't learned very much about actually creating art from them. As you gaze around the cave again, you find that you really want to understand. Clearly, this is something that's important to Charun. Otherwise, why would they spend the majority of their time on it? You, too, wish to experience the marvels of the creative process, if only there were a way for you to learn. If you want to that badly, you could make something out of what I've collected. Really? But they must have worked so hard to find all this. Is it really fine for you to just dick around with it? You're surprised to see that Charun looks pleased at what you're saying. It's maybe the most expressive you've seen them since you met. All art is dicking around. All art is dicking around. Words to live by. Wisdom for the ages. Looks like you're already starting to get it. You smile proudly. And anyway, if you make something sucky, they just shrug their shoulders. I could just take it apart again and reuse its separate components to make something else. Your smile flags a little. Where do you want to start? You rub your chin thoughtfully, wandering over to the lawn chair with the umbrella in it. A pile of fabric is stacked on top. You rifle through it until you find some colors you like. Then you walk across to the other side of Charun's hive, searching for other items you might be able to use. Charun doesn't offer much in terms of guidance aside from cautioning you away from a couple of objects that are actually finished artworks. Whoops. Both points. 1, all art is dicking around. 2, you can just reuse ideas from crappy art. Yeah, I mean, once you have an idea, you have the idea, and you can do whatever you want with it. That is true. You end up with an armful of knickknacks that you put down in front of what is now a lamppost, but will soon be your canvas of choice. Then, you get to work. The fabric you twirl all around the post. You tie the smaller objects, a snow globe, an old boot, a fancy Santa, onto it with string. On top, you perch a rubber Walmart goose that makes a majestically horrible noise when pressed. As your art piece comes together under your hands, you take a few steps back every now and then to appraise it from further away, making adjustments whenever you find something you're not happy with. Finally, it's complete. You turn to ask Charun's opinion, newly flushed with pride and adrenaline from having successfully made a thing. Press H? I actually did earlier. Is there anything in particular you're looking for, Recursive? I did actually notice earlier that this is what looks like Cal right here. Bottom of the pile. Are we talking about Cal? I noticed him. I noticed Cal like right away. But thanks for making sure that was pointed out, though. I appreciate that. They don't look very impressed. Your face falls. What's wrong? Did you use too much orange? Were the scattered Lucis teeth a little too out there? Listen, you're overthinking this. Just do what feels right. You frown. Don't think at all then? Let your instincts drive you? Thinking a little is probably good too. Okay, don't overthink it. But don't abandon rational thought altogether. Let your feelings guide you, but not completely. Pretty vague, but sure, you'll give it another shot. You strip the lamppost back down. This time, you don't spend too long regarding it in all its nude metal glory. You begin working immediately, whipping around Charun's hive in a flurry of cave dust and determination, grabbing things as soon as you lay eyes on them. Charun looks more and more fascinated the longer you're at it. It's not long until their eyes are positively gleaming. Soon, they're taking step after tentative step towards you, as if drawn to you by the sheer force of your artistic energies. They look like they might want to join in, actually. Is that okay? I see what you're going for, I think. Your vibe has got me all inspired. Of course, the more the merrier. You'd love to see what the two of you could create together. With a barely there smile, Charun plants a terrific cone at the base of the lamppost with great aplomb, and you're off! It's all a blur after that. The two of you move in unison, like you're co-piloting a Jaeger, except instead of a giant robot, you're steering a feverish, creativity-propelled fugue state. Whoa, I think we're almost done. You stand back from your newly forged pile of bric-a-brac, mopping the sweat from your brow. They're right, you're almost finished. Almost. You need to add the finishing touch, the pièce de résistance. And you know just the thing. With great conviction, you pick up a box from the floor, tearing it open so that all its contents fall all over your sculpture. Oh no! My polysacchariferous slats. Wait, hold on. Polysacchariferous slats. My polysacchariferous slats! You freeze! Were those cooking ingredients? You seem to have gotten carried away. You start apologizing, but Charun is already waving your words away. It's fine. It looks better like this. Too good to waste as food. Anyway, I could find other things to eat. You both regard your creation. We fondly regard our creation. Like Godhead Pickle Inspector. As you both regard your creation, heaving for breath. You're done! As exhausted as you are, a wonderful calm settles over you as you admire the result of your hard work. It's beautiful. It really, really is. You don't know how, because you don't think you'd actually done anything different compared to your first try. Maybe you just got lucky. But, regardless of exactly how it came about, this is one of the most bizarrely sublime things you think you've ever laid eyes on in your life. And the longer you stare at it, the more layers and depth reveal themselves to you, like the petals of a newly bloomed flower opening to the sunlight of spring. Abruptly, irresistibly, you feel yourself gripped in the throes of profound new knowledge. Charun's artworks are pointless and weird, but perhaps that's what gives them their charm. In such an uncertain and violent world, where troll culls troll, and where you might be trapped in an endless Sisyphean journey across the planet in search of new friends, for a brief moment, you can have this. Hey, how's it going, Wrench? Happy Saturday, welcome in. You can stand there awash in appreciative what the fuck at this masterpiece you've created out of a bunch of people's trash, marveling at how you've birthed something greater than yourself. Sometimes trash can be beautiful. You think you understand now. This is what Charun must have been endeavoring to teach you. You beam at them, glowing with the joy of your discovery. Yeah, sure. If you say so. We just made another friend. Victory! Bomb. Joyride. Doesn't really make all that much sense in the context of how this ending went, but yay! We made a friend. Huzzah!